Hey, thanks for checking out this first commentary with myself, Walker, and Sean McCane. Yeah, thanks for listening to some indie filmmakers talk about making a movie for little to no money. I don't know where you are in the world, so I don't know what distributor's logo is at the top of the film. So what we're going to do is we're going to line it up with our logo, the W Squared Media logo. So I'm going to count backwards from three, three, two, one, play. And when I say play, you're going to hit play just as the Wild Wind logo cuts to black and the squares of the W Squared Media logo fade in. All right, so let's line it up, and here we go. Three, two, one, play.
Hello, my name is Walker Whited. I'm the writer and director and the editor of By Night's Inn.
And I'm Sean, producer, color, audio, and I helped write the story.
That last company, W Square Media, that's our company, our post-production company in Atlanta. And we did all the post on this movie, among 1,000 other things we did, because this is our first feature film as, producers and writer-directors, all that.
Yeah.
We've done, editing, color, audio stuff on features, but
This was our first all in-house.
yeah. My first as a writer-director, we've done shorts and the usual indie film stuff that everyone says they've done a million times. And, we were trying to figure out how do we break into the industry and how do we do what we want to do, which is make movies. And we kind of thought this was the answer, jump in, throw both our feet forward and say to our contacts and stuff that we've known, all our producer friends and all the contacts we've made through the years are saying, hey, we have this idea and we wrote it, check it out. We're going to do it no matter what.
Yeah, this became the project that was, we're going to make this happen and we're not going to rely on others and we're going to see if we can actually do what we say we can do.
Yeah, instead of, sitting with a studio or trying to go somewhere and get money, we just said, we'll put our own money into it, which might have been dumb. I don't know yet. Only time will tell. And we'll make something contained and rely, or, something that we know we can get done. So I love this opening. I've watched it way too many times. It just sets up the tone and the thematics, I guess, and just really tells us what this movie is going to be about and what it's going to be like.
And if you ever want to know about budget and how to save when you run out of time, have your AD come
Run
be a
in
cop.
with a flashlight.
Yeah.
You know who the voices are in the background too? One of the guys is our second AD. One of the voices is John Williams, one of our producers and first AD. The other voice is local producer Russell Bradford.
Oh, that's right. And that was my car debut.
This scene right here is all my Foley sitting on the floor with paper and stuff, making the noises.
Sound reinforcement was a big lesson. We've done other features, but we shot a lot of stuff where we had to do pickup days, and having full audio on set wasn't always there, so we actually did a ton of Foley for this film to rebuild everything and make it believable.
Talk about a whole nother job. I mean, we did all the posts, we did all, coloring and editing. Those are whole jobs in themselves. Re-recording, mixing, whole job in itself. Foley, whole job in itself. I mean, there's a lot of work put into this movie. It's funny shooting this scene. You remember Philip, our director of photography, I think it was 9 days into shooting or something, we came to this and we'd been shooting all night scenes. So when he got to this, he was like, oh, daylight. Wait, hang on. I had to kind of take a step back and think about it because we've been so in the dark. Nice Rev Coffee shout out. Coffee company right down the road from my house, which is this house. The house we're shooting in is actually my house.
We had to paint this entire house.
Yeah, if you look in the back, the walls are elephant skin gray. I remember the color name. because Philip, they were white, bright white, and Philip, our DP, thankfully refused to shoot with white walls everywhere. Not in a bad way, just saying, look, we'll be able to make this movie 1,000 times better, and the production value will go through the roof if we can control the light better.
Yeah, so
with
color
darker
tip.
walls.
That gray helped us key out our skin tones way better if we needed to fix anything, which luckily we didn't have to do much fixing at all. But on white, it would have been a nightmare to try to key out skin tones.
Yeah, no one blends into the background or anything. I find that's one of the things that you really notice in indie films is, now, at least for me, I notice now, is white walls. Is that weird?
Yeah.
Like,
That's weird.
like, I don't know.
No,
Something about white
production
walls.
design will usually steer clear of white walls.
Yeah. But something about white walls and how the light blends with it and all. Now I go, oh, this doesn't work too well.
Yeah, you get better gradients with other colors.
Hot tip, stay away from white walls. We couldn't do anything about the cabinets, though. I really like how he set up the whole theme of the movie right here. I mean, they're pretty much talking about how somehow they know that they don't work well together. They don't communicate well together, right? And by the end of the movie, which hopefully you've seen it by now, you find out, that they learn they need to communicate, they need to work together, they need to help each other, they need to be there for each other. So right here, we're really setting up that theme. While we cook burgers.
And sound-wise, those practices were really happening. We weren't expecting that, so we just had to put them in the story and then capture their sound.
Yeah, it's crazy though. That audio is from my iPhone, right?
Yep.
I went and stood in the backyard one day, well after we shot the movie, held my phone up and recorded a practice going on. So if you hear your voice, give us a call. We'll send you a check. Hayden Mason VFX magic right there.
Yeah.
Hayden was our gaffer, who is also a VFX pro. You put that window in there. I love how we go from that mini master kind of thing into this. Right here too, we didn't shoot any other coverage. I just said, if we get other coverage, then we're going to be tempted to use it. So let's just shoot this as a master other than right here. I knew we had to come in here. And we probably didn't even have time to shoot other coverage. We shot so quickly.
We shot this whole movie in 12 days, and you think 12 days is a lot until you only have 12 days. And then you realize 12 days is nothing.
Thankfully, how we did it, though, too, is we separated everything into 3 blocks. So we shot, 4 days, hung out a few days and, planned, had time to prep, shot 4 more days because we had to shoot over weekends.
Yep.
I don't remember why we had to shoot over. Oh, well, it was because we had no money. That's why we had to shoot over weekends.
We had to shoot over weekends because we had no money and other people had to go work their other jobs.
Right. And on top of that, the city, this whole movie takes place over at night, other than that first scene. The rest of the movie were at night. And on top of that, the city of Smyrna, thankfully they were super cool and let us do everything. We got all the permits we needed, officers and stuff. But we couldn't shoot past, 11:30 at night?
Yeah, 11 o'clock.
So we had to start in the mornings at 9 a.m. or whatever it was. And our grip gaff team had to go out and black out every window of every room we were working in.
So let's talk about orange.
Yeah, orange.
We have introduced orange here and a lot of it.
And yeah, it's a big leitmotif through the whole thing. Leitmotif, see that pun I did there?
So the streetlights, this is the color of the streetlights, and Walker had seen it, fallen in love with it. Our DP saw the colors and said, what if we just put this through the whole film?
Yeah, because sitting in the house before we shot the film, as I was writing it, I would look outside and see this orange light coming through the windows from the, what is it, sodium vapor light. And I thought, well, that's cool. Could we, obviously it wouldn't come through the lights this bright because it's out on the street, but how can we vamp ramp that up and make it bigger than what it is in real life, and give the movie this really unique look. And I think it helped a lot. I love it. I think it's such a cool look. It's not just here's film. It's, what I'm trying to say. There's
more to it.
real
So much
tone
hyper
and-
reality, and
Yeah.
it gives it cool look. It's those colors are real. That's what you would see on the street, but we boosted it a lot.
Right. And you'll see it throughout the entire movie. I think we start introducing rain right here too, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was supposed to rain every weekend we were shooting. It was supposed to rain, so we thought, well, let's just make it rain the whole time.
Yeah, rain was never supposed to be in this film.
No,
And-
the script never says anything about rain.
But when we saw the weather was supposed to be like,
We went, hey, let's
we
try it.
adapted, and it actually added just
So much production value.
Yeah, so much production value and just a cool tone, visually and audio wise.
Oh, it helped. I think it helped a lot audio-wise.
Oh, yeah.
In some of these scenes when they're talking in random rooms, and if you listen closely and you hear the rain in the background, it adds another layer to it. I love those shafts of light. It's so cool.
Happy little accidents.
Yeah, and the shafts aren't, but the flashlight rolling
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
So our actors were actually incredible. We met Michelle, who's here, years ago on a project we tried to start.
Fell through, yeah.
Fell through probably
No money on that
4 or
either.
5 years ago.
Yeah, at least, yeah.
And when we offered her this role, she
Yeah,
jumped on it.
I wrote with her in mind when we were doing it because, she comes from stunts, so I knew she'd be able to handle the fights later on and, make the action look the way it should look, which is brutal. Carlos there. He's a great actor from, I don't know, is he from Atlanta or LA? I'm not sure, but he works all over the place. You'll see a lot of him, I'm sure. It's the first time we see the flash bulbs. We had these, they were like actual flash bulbs from the 60s, right?
Mhm.
That Philip had. And we're trying to figure out how to do gunshots in a more interesting way than I can always see CG bad muzzle flash. I hate bad muzzle flash when it's added in post. So how do we do this in a more interesting way? Because we can't use blanks, of course, in this small house, and we didn't have the money for it, et cetera. And Philip said, what if we use these flash bulbs? So there's a bulb on the end of a C-stand on a little clip with a battery attached to it, and then the wire runs to the actor. We'd give it to the actor. So when Michelle fired, it was either on the trigger or in her hand. I'm not sure where it was in that scene, but so when she fired the airsoft gun and the slide went back, she was also hitting the button, which made the flash go off, and such a cool look. Just makes it so much bigger.
Trailer moment.
It is funny when you're like, when we were shooting, there were a few times where I'm like, ooh, trailer moment right there, write that down. It's funny how you can start picking those kind of things out.
So the Easter egg here that probably only Walker and I laugh about is what he's watching is the first short film we filmed together
Second.
years ago.
Did
And
that horror one first. It was actually the second one we did.
was that the second one we did?
Yeah. Maybe third, actually.
Oh gosh, I don't know.
Yeah, so
But it's
that
one
was
of our first ones we really started promoting.
Yeah,
And
I still really like that movie. If you listen closely, you'll hear some local Atlanta actors that. You know what they were actually watching though? It was on the TV. You can't see it because of the angle. It was like a. Can't think of the band. Metal music video. Can't think of what band it was. I was like, ooh, this is kind of flashy. Just put this up on the screen. It'll make some light. Kurt is so convincing. I worked with Kurt once on a little PSA, and he played a news anchor. And there was a moment in it where I didn't call cut, and he just kind of kept looking back and forth like, you know, news anchors, they shake their head, when they're talking or when they're passing the mic off to the next person. And he kept doing it because he wasn't hearing cut. And then he just stopped and kind of laughed, like giggled. And I was like, something clicked where I was like, I like this guy. He's good. You know, he just kept going. Something about it was like, I want to work with him one day.
And he was a joy to work with. Just absolutely incredible.
Here's my cameo. That's my voice. That's the neighbor. Thank you very much. See, everywhere you look, that orange, it's so cool. Coming through the blinds, on his face, on his shirt there. So this wasn't my house when we were shooting here. It was my girlfriend at the time's house. And I remember when that blood was being poured on the floor, I was like, okay, here we go. Let's do it. Okay, get it up, quick. Get it. I was so worried it was going to ruin the floors or something. There was a lot of that going on this set. Me worrying about, hot tip, don't film in your family's or your girlfriend's house. You'll just worry about too much stuff.
That's the first shot of the movie.
First shot of the movie right there.
First shot we did. Searching a cabinet.
We had a lot of that, cameras inside of things as they open it to look into.
Yeah.
I really liked that idea that, like, is it in here? You know, we're already there before they are, but neither of us know if what they're looking for is there. I love this shot. It was a day where we were doing a lot of dialogue and not really interesting shots. And so it was towards the end of the day, I was like, let's just get something interesting. Like, obviously we needed all the dialogue and stuff, but let's get something interesting visually. And I thought it was a good kind of tension builder to look out and kind of foreshadow what's coming. This scene makes me think we should talk about Tyler.
I think we should.
Our composer here. This leitmotif playing in the background. You hear it maybe once again, maybe twice, I can't remember, but Tyler just nails stuff every time we give it to him. I gave him when I write, I build Spotify playlists of music that I think really fits the tone that I'm going to go for. So this one had a ton of movies, a ton of kind of ambient, feely, some of it was kind of 80s, I guess you might say. And anyways, I handed him that playlist and he would listen to it. And then, you know, it wasn't temp tracks. It wasn't laid out to the visuals, but he just had the idea of where we wanted to go with it. And he nailed it. I think there were like 2 songs in the whole movie where I was like, this isn't where we're going. Let's try this. And other than that, I mean, 2 songs out of an hour and a half long movie, that's insane. Remember that baseball bat, folks. I really like these PTSD moments. We had a note somewhere that said we should kind of flash back and see what she's going back to her in her mind, and I was pretty adamant that, no, I just want to hear it and see it. The first time she has the PTSD, if you listen close, you'll hear very deep. Yeah, you'll hear AKs firing and chopper wings and the heavy in the bass. And, it's telling the story in the audio track of what she went through. And I thought that was important to just only hear it and only feel what she went through and never actually see it until she tells the story. You always love that when he goes, well, I'm going to check again.
Yeah. He pulled a total just...
Man move.
I
don't care what you said. I'm going to look again. This light here is so interesting. Philip points it out to me every time. I'm going to ruin it. I don't care. You see the light comes from both sides.
Yep.
You never think about it, but Philip was like, who cares? It looks cool, right?
And here's my acting debut. Those are my legs because Carlos couldn't be there.
Yeah, we didn't have money for stand-ins, so we just threw our producers on the floor.
Like, put these pants on, go lay on the ground.
This was a tough day.
Yep.
This was one of the most pivotal scenes in the movie when they find this radio, and I don't remember how long. I don't remember what we shot that day exactly, but I remember at lunch being like, this isn't working. And had to go out and sit in the yard and eat lunch and kind of rewrite and figure out what wasn't working about it.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I figured it out, and I think it works really well now.
It was short range because we lost the antenna.
No.
No?
We had the antennas. It wouldn't fit in his pocket, and we were like, well, why would it? It wouldn't, it would stick out of his pocket and stuff. So we were like, well, I'll just take the antenna out. Right. I mean, it'll still work, That was one of those things I had to go sit and figure out. It was like, the initial idea too was that when she turned it on, instead of Moody just kind of rambling and talking and being a dork, it was more creepy, and not more creepy, but it was kind of that like mystical eye. How does he see them? He was saying like, hey, I can see you, kind of. He was hinting at that, but it was like, well, how would he know that they're turning the radio on? There's no signal for that, So I thought, I need to rework this. So then we came up with him just screaming into the radio, kind of rambling to Parker, trying to get his attention, which I think works 10,000 times more. I love that long shot following her or leading her. It's funny, I think about this every time. I have no idea who that little girl is. I mean, we cast her, but I never met her. I don't know who it is. Someone was like, this girl with these pictures? I was like, there, that works perfectly. I gave an idea of like who she should be, how old she should be, and they went out and cast her. This was the thing that never fully paid off because of various reasons. It didn't work
how we wanted it to.
But I'm still glad we did it. The door was supposed to always open because we already set that up. When the front door opens, the back door opens. See, the original idea was when that happens, we're going to realize someone was... I think there was a scene where Moody was standing in the room with them or something like that.
Yeah.
And then he leaves, and then it was like, well, why the heck would he do that? He could just shoot him and then be done and search for the thing. So... instead, we just had the mud on the ground over here as if someone had been in the house while they weren't around, which I think still sets an inkling of like nervousness and something weird's going on. But I also still really like that the door opens because, I mean, how many times does that happen to you? Like where something is going wrong and then something else goes wrong that has nothing to do with what you're doing, like a broken thing in your house. I mean, I have an anger issue, so I would slam the door and stuff, I think it's fitting.
It helps with at least just showing the frustration in the scenario.
Yeah.
So it still works. Just didn't work how we wanted to originally.
Lessons learned. That's the biggest thing about this. I mean, how many times do we say, you know, we've learned 1,000 things on this movie, or as long as we learned something, it's definitely a win. Hey, Michelle's little looks here and there, like both of them have that really well, where just their eyes move, and that's it. Just a little inkling of emotion there. It's so good. I'm trying so hard not to Mystery Science Theater right now. Like, start riffing on our own movie.
We'll do that next take.
Look in the background right there. There's a black spot on the wall in the hallway. Right there.
That's for the previous, or the
That's
scene?
there's a scene later when Kurt's sitting in the hallway, and that's his hair dye on the wall. Kurt has little streaks of gray in his hair, and I just wanted to get rid of those to make sure, no one thinks he's way older than her or something. I have no idea how old Kurt is either, by the way. But yeah, that was his hair dye on the wall. I always loved that. All the shadows are on the floor right there.
This is one of my favorite scenes.
I love this shot. I was thinking about it. This shot, the idea of it came from an action movie, but then after we did it and after I saw it a bunch, I thought, this is classic horror right now.
Yeah.
This is James Wan, 101 shot right here on. Is it over here? Nope. Is it over here? Nope. Is it over here? So when we were coming up with the character Moody, that was a fun process because we knew we wanted a hat, and then I kind of went, military meets like what modern style of some kind, contemporary
Right.
style. And I went to Emily, our costumer, and said, ideas, what I just said, the hat, military, and modern.
Yeah. Well, we wanted
Let's
something
make it
more
up.
than just, hey, I'm a bad guy. We wanted to have more of a personality. We
Yeah.
love bad guys and characters from stuff like Blacklist and James Bond, and we were
Yeah.
like, we can't go over the top, but we want it to be more than just he's a bad guy wearing a mask or something.
There's something deeper than just some bad guy.
He has a little bit more of a personality.
So I took it to Emily and said, these are my ideas on his wardrobe, and these are my ideas of him as a character. And then she built this outfit out, which I think fits perfectly. That jacket, I don't know what it is, but on the back is a handkerchief she sewed in there. It looks so cool. It's like, can you make me one of those jackets? I'd wear that. But then I took the idea to Milligan and said, I sort of know this character, but I don't fully. I want to develop him with you. In the script, there's no name for the character.
We just called him the
we
voice.
we called him the voice because of the radio. And I said, Milligan, I want to develop this character with you, and I want you to name the character. And he came up with Moody. So that is his name, Moody. It's never said. No one says his name, but I think I think Milligan came up with the mustache and the blonde hair too.
Yeah, no, he completely just
Yeah.
he ran with it, and
He dyed his wig. His wig. He dyed his hair for like 4 weeks, blonde. I think he did it himself too. I can't. Did Brittany do it or did he do it? I think he did it himself.
Yeah, I think he did it. He actually transformed the character because we had a little bit more of a creepy, serious character, and
Yeah.
he kind of gives it this.
You know, we started talking about his lighting on Kurt and his close-ups so good. But we started talking about the character and where he comes from and on. And, you know, we went with wants to please family, wants to please daddy or whoever. You know, he's kind of young. He's kind of wild. But we started going with, we think he sees a psychiatrist. We think he's got a therapist somewhere. And he tries to keep things level and calm down. And you see that later when he'll start to get heated and he'll like fix himself.
Yeah.
I was so worried the scene wasn't working when we were shooting. I don't remember why, but
We shot it during the day, and we were hoping to have more.
yeah, that's right. Behind us,
Everything's
we're
just
looking
black.
towards the wall, yeah, because behind us there's tarp, whatever,
Yeah.
blackout. You can kind of see it on the edge right there if you look closely.
Yep.
There's blackout because we were shooting in the middle of the day.
We were hoping to have a full view of it. So yeah, that was one of those like things we had to make a call. Like, we only have so
Hey, we
much
can't
time.
shoot
and-
during the day. Yeah. I guess we could try and find time to get a wide later, but there's not really any time. It worked out though. It's so good.
Yeah, producing most of the time means making calls you don't want to do.
Yeah. This scene was originally a lot longer. Remember that? I think they had a whole discussion here before
Yeah,
the
full
phone
fight.
went off, but I
We realized
honestly don't remember what it was.
we kept on bringing up the same like whose fault was
Yeah.
this mystery, what happened between them, whose fault was it, and we kept on
And there
kind
was
of
a
beat a
lot
dead
of, like,
horse in this.
What are we
with it.
doing? Why are we doing this? And it's,
Right.
yeah. Trailer moment. I remember saying that to him on the day. I was like, hey, this line, trailer moment. Was that a good idea? I don't know. But I thought it would get him excited. How come we can never get phones right in movies?
I don't know.
That's not our, whatever, but
So
no one
this
ever
is-
actually answers or
Right.
whatever. Yeah.
So this is Jeff, is actually one of the producers. He helped
Executive
us,
producer, yeah.
executive producers.
This movie would not be a thing without Joe.
Helped us out immensely, and then covered this role.
I love Jeff. I hope we can work with him more. Good guy. That rack focus there's so good. I think that was all Robbie. I think Robbie was like, hey, him and Philip, whoever it was,
Yep.
should we follow her over and rack her? Oh!
I really think this was one of the first things that you brought to me and said, what if we shot him with an arrow, like with a crossbow or something? And it was just like, wouldn't it be cool to see it goes through his neck? And that was, I remember you described the sounds and everything. And
I thought it'd be cool to like, no one's holding a bow. You never see the bow ever again. But I didn't think it mattered. I thought these guys are trying to be quiet. They're trying to send a message. This definitely sends a message in two different ways. A, they just killed a guy, and two, there's a message on the arrow. But yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to do it for real too. I wanted to kill him. No, I wanted to get an arrow and see if we can make it, when he hits the wall, could it stop him? And
Yeah.
I wanted that physicality, and man, it's cool. Brittany and her husband, Jeff, cut an arrow and figured out all the intricacies and put it around him. And he's actually hitting the wall, which I felt really bad. I was worried he was bruising himself. I'm sure he bruised his neck hitting that wall with that arrow.
oh,
on.
yeah.
But it looks cool. And the sound design, I mean, come on. We did a killer on that, right?
We made it believable.
And the score. It's a pretty cool way to send a message. I'm not going to lie. We shoot a guy with a piece of paper wrapped around.
Through his neck.
What if that's how we texted?
Yeah.
Hey, how are you?
It's kind of a Monty Python moment. Message, sire.
Oh, yeah, that is.
Yeah.
I forgot all about that. There's little moments through this where Philip moves the camera And I don't think I really noticed until we were editing, but he'll slowly jib down into the radio or reveal this or reveal that. So good.
What did he call that?
I don't remember.
Oh, he had a special name he gave himself for that, or that move.
Like that right there. It had something to do with skipping inserts and like doing it in the shot. I really don't like inserts either. So we had that big discussion. It was like, I hate it when we try that short film we were talking about a minute ago. That's the background. That was one of the first tests we did with that short film was how much can we leave out and still tell the story? And can we not go, hey, here's a thing here, close up, pay attention to it, We learned a lot on that. And yeah, I get really tired of, look at this thing, remember it, it happens later. Obviously we have to do it with like the bat and some stuff like that. But I really like including those inserts and those close-ups somehow into a shot, making you notice by either the characters bringing the attention to it or going from like, a wide to a close-up or a close-up to a wide in one shot. We did it on Jeff when he's standing at the door and he puts his hand on the pistol.
Yep.
That's one of the moments in this whole movie where I'm like, I wish we had taken 5 more minutes and thought of a way to incorporate that without going to that close-up. Because for me now, it's kind of jarring, but I love that. What is wrong with you, people? I like this school boy, girl, like, teasing each other almost, kind of back and forth. I really like that. That was the other thing about this where, she kills a guy and in a lot of movies it's just killed, dead, whatever, forget about it. But like it torments her. Like pulling out the gun right here. She does not want to have to do this. And I just love that, killing is obviously bad and has consequences. So I love that idea that, it can really mess with a character instead of just it being a moment or it just happening and being a thing that they have to do. It really weighs on her. And it reminds her of her past too, which of course she's troubled with. Some good old white walls moment. I think Philip probably wanted to paint this bathroom. We just didn't have the time, right?
Well, it's a good thing we didn't, because if you actually look
there's
closely,
a seam. You see that?
You see the seam because later in the film we actually accidentally busted through this wall.
This was a tricky scene to shoot. Guy in bathroom chatting on a radio with someone else. So, people kept joking, should he be sitting on the toilet? Like he's going to the bathroom while he talks? It's like, no, let's put him on the tub, But then it's a set, so where do you put the camera,
Yep.
Only so many shots you can get.
That was probably one of the biggest challenges that Philip had through this whole thing was very tight spaces. We have a lot of pictures of him in what looks like the most uncomfortable positions on the planet. And then, of course, you have sound in there with them, and you have,
Me half the time.
Yeah. It was a very tight space
Originally, I wanted to have a shot behind him, just kind of staring at the back of his head while he talked, but there was no way to do it. There was no room. So then we came up with this slow pull away from him, which I think is really cool. I mean, it really singles him out, you know. He's freaking out at this point. But as a man, he feels like he has to hide it too. And like, that's the one thing that he really struggles with, I think, that Kurt does a good job of it, you know, is he's the guy in the relationship, and according to society, he has to provide and, you know, be the man, quote unquote. And Mark really struggles with that. No job, lost his kid, where we find out here he feels responsible for it. Good old piece of sheet in the background. My, I guess when this comes out, wife now, who was girlfriend who owned this house, keeps saying she should get some credit for putting props in this movie because, you know, that's her art, our friend's artwork we did.
If I'm not mistaken, this whole scene was lit by just that one lamp.
I think there's a teaser above him.
Yeah, was there?
Yeah, because you can see it in the corner there. See it in the back of the... Well, not the teaser. You can see the light.
Okay.
Yeah, you see it right there? No, you can see the light behind the closet over there. I think it's coming from the roof. But I think, yeah, definitely. Philip planned that a lot, was let's put practicals all through the house so that we can move quickly. And then he would drape things from the ceiling and bounce light into them. And there was nowhere to hide a light in here, so you could be right, Sean.
Yeah.
Pretty much where he's standing is the wall, you know?
This big bounce.
But like, there's nowhere for him to go with the camera. It was just kind of over. Can't really get wide unless we like move a bunch of stuff and get in the corner.
Yeah. This scene was a big lesson for us because, you know, when you have two actors, very like in a heated part, they have a tendency to walk over each other's lines.
Oh man.
And what
Big
we ended
lesson.
up having, we had to cut this scene down. And so you have this little small room where they're yelling and it's reverberation and trying to get that edit together so you didn't hear the cuts in and out. That was a huge lesson for us in something like this.
Had to do some ADR to work it out. And yeah, the original cut in the scene, she's kind of like, you know, he says, what do we do? I don't know. And she's kind of also saying, there was something weird where it really brought her down and she didn't seem really strong, and we had to cut it down and make it more like, you know, they both don't know. They're on the same level, but, you know, she can't be way weaker than him.
Yep.
Like, she has to be a little bit stronger. So at the end, her arc can be complete, you know? Oh, Matt.
One of our big pet peeves is the silencer sound that sounds like "Pew!"
Yeah, in all movies. So we try and give him a little punch
Yeah.
to the suppressor sound. I'm pretty sure a bunch of us were hiding in that room watching the monitor.
We were.
That was another concept that I pulled from that first short we did. The multiple rounds in one body, so that the cops hit with an arrow. I mean, maybe you could explain that somehow. I don't know how you explain it, but, you know, to really throw them off and say, I'm in control, I'm going to put some 9mm rounds in this guy. Now, you definitely can't explain that, you know. There's no way to explain an arrow and bullets in this guy. I'm winning, you know, come out, let me search this house. That was a really tricky thing about this movie, is like, people would ask, you know, why doesn't this person just shoot that person? It's like, well, you know, she can't shoot because it's loud. You don't want to draw the cops. They're scared. They want to find a way out of it. Tom can't shoot because she's already got the drop on him. It was a lot of that, like, chess back and forth, like, who's got the drop on who. Think about the surroundings outside the house. Think about, like, what they're going through internally. lots of explanation to like, you know, not make it a simple, this person kills this person in a movie. This is a good mix of fake rain that we added in post and real rain. I felt bad for him. He was cold. It was March, early March.
It was very cold out.
Dropping hose water on him. I love those little ticks. That was some improv from Mike. I don't think there's a whistle in the script. I didn't know he could do that. He just did it.
And I'm super jealous because I can never
I can't do
whistle
that.
like that.
I always thought that we should just be like the marketing for the movie. Just him doing that laugh. So the light in the background, if you notice, it looks heavily lit, like production value. We put, some whatever, giant 18Ks or something in the field back there. It's just the tennis court lights in the back. We just went over there and turned them on. Use what you got. That look, man. He does that every now and then. I think that's the second time he's had one of those just, I'm going to look at you. I'm going to stare you down. And it's creepy. That birdhouse, I love that. We were out there and I just thought, kind of, gives us, it is the analogy of being trapped in this small house, just like, they are. I don't know, I just loved that. I thought, let's really use that as a theme. I think this was the thing we came up with on the day too, rifling through the mail.
Yeah, he just kind of did it. Oh, originally they were supposed to be one of our producers supposed to be stepping in.
Yeah, they were supposed to argue about something. It was going to really show that Moody had like an apologetic side.
Yeah.
He was going to hit one of his guys and apologize and but it was just like, we don't have time for this. This isn't going to work. We got to work through this. And
I think that's also the same day that we lost some of our memory cards.
What?
When the Shogun messed up.
Oh, yeah. Good
Might have
times.
been our fault.
Technical
But we
issues.
lost quite a few. We lost a few shots out of that.
This was a scene that we went back and forth with where I don't have kids, but Philip has children, our DP. And he said, I don't think this is realistic for people with children. And he said we should cut it. Some other people agreed. And so we did for a while. And after watching it so many times, I thought, I don't know, I want that scene. I really like how
we
it
wrestled over
really
that.
pulls them apart and how it really shows their differences. I mean, obviously she's not over her kid's death, but he needs to prove the point that, like, he needs to see her deal with this problem. He can't be the only one dealing with this problem. Just like she can't be the only one dealing with her problem. She needs to talk to him about it. And I really thought it helped, with those through lines. And then you talked to some people who did have children. They were like, no, I think it works.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like, all right, cool. I'm going with the positive reaction. I'm gonna put it back in.
and we really did wrestle over it. We wrestled. And because we always thought it fit no matter what. And after I had a couple buddies that said, hey, this is real. This is something that could happen. We have kids. I was like, oh, here we go. And super glad because it actually cut in there. Cut out the whole part and it just came to her crying.
Yeah, and it
Put the
didn't.
picture
It
up.
never made sense to me cutting right into her crying. It made me feel like she was weak. Like she's crying because she was just outside talking to that guy. What the heck,
Yeah.
So coming back in and seeing their struggle, I thought just had to happen.
And we were right. It worked.
Boom.
Boom.
Hire us. W Squared Media. I like his lame, like, attempts at humor throughout this, and then later on, he's like, "You turned me on if we were about to."
Yeah.
Like his lame attempts to like, "Oh, I don't really know what to do here," so I'm gonna, you know. I think I do that, so I think that's why he does that. I think I'm writing from experience at that point. I love this misdirection. Does it work? I don't know. Haven't watched it with enough people to know. But there was another whole thing with the box too, wasn't there?
Yeah.
We struggled. Like,
yeah, this was a big one
figuring
where
this
we
out.
tried to
where
struggle.
like something was supposed to be in it, or there was a name or something that correlated through the whole movie, and then we were like, "Oh
This
no,
doesn't
just
work at
make
all."
it random,
Yeah.
and it'll be fine. Like make them overthink the situation, and it'll be fine." Phoenix Roasters shout out right there with the bag of coffee. I love these wides where they're both talking. We're not just cutting back and forth quickly. Works so well. I think that's really the first time we see how lighthearted she can get. And you start seeing their relationship isn't actually dead. Kind of makes her more terrifying too. Yay, happy. It's true, I could kill you with a bomb. Ah! Bloomch. That worked. There was a whole bit too where we were gonna drag him down the hall and have blood trailing, and
Yeah.
no time.
And honestly, I think for pacing wise, I think it just
Yeah,
moved it along
it
quicker.
really does. That's a funny moment there with the gun that I built in post, where in the script and what we shot, they just hand the gun over, but there was a look between them, and I thought, well, that's kind of interesting. Maybe he's kind of weary of giving this gun up, you know? Kind of worked. This shot is, I don't understand how Philip got this. That's all handheld. He just, you know, there's no dolly or anything in there. He just,
Yeah, we went
magic hands.
handheld because of how much time it saved us.
Yeah, so it was the evil one, on the easy rig the whole time.
Yep, on an easy rig, and we just moved.
And the day before we would shoot, Philip and I would, you know, for this scene, we would stand in the room and go, we need this, we need that, we need this. Characters will be here and here. And then, of course, on the day, things change. Actors give their input and we kind of move around a little bit. But we always have a game plan before we walked in that we could go, hey, John or Tim, whoever was the AD that day, this is what we want to do today. This is our plan. And so that way Philip and I are on the same page. And then, you know, the ADs can jump in and also be on the same page before we actually get started. Favorite scene in the movie? Happy accident.
Yeah, it was. This was not supposed to be this.
Yeah, this scene isn't in the script. In the script, she walks by Mark in the closet changing his shirt because he's got blood on it from the cop. But there was a miscommunication with wardrobe or something, and he already had the jacket on that he was supposed to put on then. We realized, oh crap, he's been wearing the jacket the whole time. So it was like, okay, what do we do now? We really need to see that they still care for each other, that, you know, they still love each other and they're still a couple. And then I was like, oh, we haven't done anything in the hallway. What if they just sat quietly in the hallway? And I love this scene. The music, everything, their looks just really pull it together. And it gives us that moment of, how many times has she just kind of like looked in the direction and been like, oh, what we haven't thought about? Which, again, I do all the time. Like, oh, yeah, I need to go do that thing because I just noticed it. Now that she's on the floor, she can look up and go, ooh, we haven't looked in the attic.
And the attic. And
Good old attic.
Originally, we had this idea. We were going to build a separate attic so we'd have more room. We could film all these different angles.
Right, because, there's no floor up there. So, right where they are, there's floor. Everywhere else, you have to either be on beams or whatever we put down. Right? Wasn't that the original issue? So we were like, how do we do this safely?
Yeah, so I went out and bought planks of wood.
Right. Yeah, because we thought, let's build an attic.
Yep.
No, we don't have the money. So then you see the wood there. We put that everywhere. Or tried to.
Tried to, our best.
Moved it around a lot.
And, again, small space, so it was minimal crew up there. It was Philip the DP, Conrad, the sound guy, and I believe you.
Yeah,
I think it was the three of y'all. Yeah. And then the rest of us were watching in the one room we never go in the house because that was Video Village and makeup.
Yeah, this was an interesting day. Crammed up there. I think it was cold, right?
Yeah, it was cold every day.
There were birds chirping outside because it was the middle of the day. We were trying to shut up.
And it was the middle of the day, so you had road noise, people coming by.
Trucks you'd have to wait on. Thankfully, no one was in the park.
So a lot of this is actually Foley because we had to hide so much of that, which is common.
Right.
But it was an interesting day. And it's so cramped up there for all of them.
Yeah, so both our ACs were downstairs, right? So Ben, every time Ben had to get a lens up or something, he'd have to climb up into the attic. But that's why I love having Ben around. He likes adventure. So it's like, hey, Ben, climb in this small space to change the lens. Okay. I love this. Originally in the script, he reads the note, but it's so much better that he just kind of reacts to it. And we don't need to know what it says. We get what it is. There's a lot of that we learned from this. I feel like that's what we keep learning is like, what can we take out and still get the story across? I feel like that we've done that on so many of our shorts and stuff now that we're hopefully starting to get the hang of that. I don't like spoon feeding, but I'm worried I'm going to say that and then someone's going to be like, you spoon fed us this.
We'll just do a silent movie next. No spoon feeding.
That's another tricky thing about this though, is like one location, the story is basic, but how do you get across the story points without it being, what's that word? When you mix exposition and explaining, whatever that word is. How do you not just, say every single thing?
Yep. So this is actually a cool section because one of the things that, you have to be willing to is like one of the people on set actually saw the scene, kind of saw the script and was like,
Jordan,
hey, Jordan, she was like, this is not how this would go down. How she was describing this war, what she went through. She's like, that's not how this would go down.
Well, she had notes on like certain terms and stuff like that. But I think with Michelle, it was like, I haven't been to war. I don't know what PTSD was like. Yep. So Jordan was like, it was cool. She stepped in and said, do you want me to take her off and kind of tell her what I go through? So she and Michelle went off and talked about.
Jordan was military.
Yeah, she was ex-military. And so she and Michelle went off and talked. I don't know what they talked about. No one was privy to that conversation. Michelle came back and knocked this out. I asked Jordan, I said, are you going to be okay doing that? Like, I don't want to put you in a position like to, bring something back. And she was like, it'll be weird for a few days, but it's okay. I want to do it. I was like, whoa, that's cool.
That it was amazing that helped out. There's so many stories like that through the whole movie where people stepped in and helped out.
Yeah.
They went beyond what was asked of them, and Jordan was probably one of the best examples of that. Went beyond whatever was asked of her.
There's nothing that I could have said to Michelle to get her to like conjure up this tear and stuff like that, Whatever they talked about worked. This whole scene came from watching a lot of like The Blacklist and James Spader tell stories, and it was like, I want to try that. We don't have the budget to go out and shoot this kind of a story, her telling the story. So can she give 2 pages of dialogue as telling a story, and will it work, and does it come across as engaging? And I think it does. And then Tyler's score in the background really driving it, that we're just in her mind. I think originally his first pass was kind of emotional and like went along with the story, and I was like, no. I don't, this is about her and her story. She has to tell the story and drive the emotion. The music just has to let us know we're in her mind and really keep us in the scene. That's it. The music can't drive the emotion. And then he did that, and it was awesome. Were you there this day when he went through the attic?
Oh yeah.
This was a fun one where, not you, producer, but some of the other producers are like, we can't have him go through the attic. He's going to get hurt. And it was like, this is kind of like the whole point to getting us into the third act. Like, this has to happen.
Yeah.
So the gaffers were there with like boards of wood and ladders and stuff, and
They
like
rigged
things
this
he
whole
could fall
setup
to.
to where pretty much he just falls like
Yeah, and Kurt was like, let me try
3
it.
feet.
He would just go up there and jump through. And so with, I think there's like a frame or two cut out to like, give it that nice little jerk of, as if someone's actually pulling him through.
Yep.
But that's all just him falling through. No one's touching him.
Yeah, because I remember we were coming up with the scene and writing. I mean, that's all we could think about was him being just pulled out of there and like the terrifyingness and the shock of it.
It's like being a kid with your legs dangled over a bed and like the monsters,
Yeah.
Can you imagine like someone actually like pulls you through? Like, oh, that's terrifying. I love how this cut together, just kind of the chaos. This whole scene was lit by just that light bulb.
Yep.
That one light bulb right there lit the whole attic scene. I think he changed the light bulb, but he put in his own light bulb. But that's about it. And it works. There's no reason you should do anything else. Look at it. There's that motif, the piano. So good. And it transitions to our oneer. This was cool because, we had to have her get out of the roof somehow. So we put a board down on the porch outside and some fluffy, whatever that's called, insulation on top, and then made kind of a wall.
Yep.
We made our own wall
Wasn't that your
outside in the
foot?
yard. No, I think she was there that day. She was.
Was
Yeah.
that her foot?
And then
Okay.
she would stand and hit through it.
This is our oneer, and this was
This is a big thing for us.
yeah we fought for this one.
Lots of planning. Because we knew, like, no money. We shot this thing for what? What was the final budget? Like $26,000.
26
That's
something,
insane.
yeah.
You can't do anything for that much money. We owe a lot of people money, is what we're saying. A lot of the crew came in and took a hit, and we hope to pay them back. But this oneer was for us to go, hey, look, we have some technical cool stuff in it. We might not have a name, we might not have the biggest budget, but there's cool stuff in this movie.
Yeah.
And the oneer serves a purpose. I mean, I've said that 1,000 times, that we didn't do it just to do a oneer. It was, she needs to explore the house. She needs to figure out where everyone is.
Yep.
This is an interesting idea to do it, no wonder.
And I remember we did it about...
I think there were 12 takes, not all complete, but 12
Yeah, I think
takes.
there was 6 complete ones.
Something like that, yeah.
And I remember, so we tried doing like handoffs amongst multiple crew.
Right, someone would be
and
on
it just
the
did not
porch
work.
to
You
the
could
yard,
see
to
it.
the, yeah.
So Walker actually ended up getting almost every bit of this except for that one handoff at the windows.
Yeah, the handoff, our gaffer is up there. We hand it to him, but I just happen to be the person on set with the most Ronin experience, most gimbal experience. So I said, let me take it. And I have long, limber legs, so I could step off the porch and stuff like that.
And this is actually the last take, and I remember because I was sitting in Video Village watching, and I've already seen Walker, and I'm like, his arms are going out,
tough.
his back's going out.
Yeah, I
And
think
was like,
2
if
takes
this
before this, I had to stop. I was like, nope, give me
We need to take
5
a
minutes,
break.
please.
And I was wigging out because I was like, man, if he doesn't get this take, that's it. We're just not getting it. And
There was nothing we could do if we didn't get it either.
yeah,
I don't know what we would have done. This is all another interesting fact on the
GH5S. Yep. Which the dynamic range that it kept through this entire thing was incredible.
Yeah. Troy Farouk here. Awesome stuntman. I love this idea of losing Michelle for a minute, and then when we come back, she's just a complete badass, ready to get in there and now fight. That nail, so
The
cool.
nail gun.
It was one of those things where, like, how do we make this super interesting in a way that he can't escape and they can't escape? They're still stuck there, but without being too gruesome. That's me. That's my second
Walker
cameo.
Walker. Yep.
Didn't have Michael that day, so during one of the pickups. So these fights were our other really, really important thing that we had to make sure we got right. We shot this in a few different takes, or angles, but ended up kind of just using this. I think there's like 7 shots in this fight, but that whole kitchen bit is one.
Yep.
But that's thanks to these guys and our coordinator. They really planned this out, and they didn't have much time to plan it out. I mean, they did it the day before or the day
And
of.
that's how the wall got a hole in it.
And then we broke the wall. Right before that wall broke, I looked at Sean and went, they're about to break the wall, because that's the second time in a thing Sean and I have broken the wall.
Yep.
We did that on the first short. You
Actually,
remember,
it was
that's the first short we ever worked on together.
Walker looked
We
at me
broke
and
the
said,
wall.
hey, you remember our first short where we went into a wall? I said, yeah, why? He goes, I'm really worried that's about to happen. And I said,
And on
he
that
called
take,
action, and there it is.
production value. I'm glad it happened. It's cool. We fixed it. And by we, I mean Philip, because he's manly and knows how to do that stuff. There's still blood on that pillow on the right, and there's a spot of blood on the couch still. Whoops. Came out of the carpet, though. This is my favorite editing right here in the movie, in this next room. Yes, I'm giving props to myself.
Yeah, and I think we actually came up with that. It just came back. You did this in post.
Yeah,
It
I don't remember.
We weren't planning on.
We weren't planning on the flashbacks or
No.
whatever, the quick flashes, but I just thought we needed to see what she's seeing and what she's thinking. But I also just love that, she's standing there and then we cut to she's bending down. We don't have to go through the paces of her walking over there and walking over here, and. And contractually, we needed to give Carlos some screen time. Just kidding. That was a Philip idea right there.
Yep.
Looking
Literally
up to the
held
vent.
Hit a camera down in there.
I think there's some towels to make sure the camera doesn't fall through or something.
The lights down here is one of our favorite things that we really talked about because we wanted this hyper reality. We didn't want just like
Yeah, it'd be
dark
pretty boring
coldness.
if it was just dark,
Yeah.
I think.
So they came out really awesome.
Blending the white and blues of that light with the orange streaks. And then we planted that plumbing pipe right there. So. Just kidding. This is one of those other things that I thought it was like a whole balancing act to this whole movie of how do we keep everyone's attention in one location. And I thought it'd be cool to have a fight scene in not only the cramped house, but in the cramped crawl space. And this is what we came up with. And we shot this fight scene on the same day as the Wonder. So, you know, there's give and take on, you know, with everything. I wish we could go a little more, you know, that's always just going to be the case. But, you know, with this, it was like, we got to a point where it was like, cool, we got to move to the Wonder. Let's do the Wonder now, you know, which on a big production, you'd probably have, 2 days more to do this kind of fight. You'd have a day to figure out the Wonder and plan it and a day to shoot it, you know. But we did not. But I think it still turned out really, really interesting. That headshot to the head, too, is, even though it's CG and everything, that's pretty brutal.
Yeah.
The way he, like, jerks his legs up and stuff. Ugh. Insert. Man, when we were out there shooting this rain stuff, again, it felt really bad for him. It was cold.
It was so cold that
night. It was
night.
like run over with a towel, dry him off in between takes. But when we were shooting this, I remember being like, whoa, this looks cool. This is going to work. Okay. I think that was last minute.
It was.
It was like, hey, we should get him laying in the tub. We might need that. Man, the depth back there, seeing the trees and stuff. I mean, that was at night. These are obviously at night when we're outside. And the fact that, what was it? The camera, we don't have lights back there. It's just light pollution.
There's tennis courts.
There's like tennis. Man, it's so cool. I lucked out on that. Philip kept saying, this should be impossible. All this, what we did. And it's like, you're right.
Well, and like
really
we had
doesn't
to,
make sense
we had to
looking
think
back.
things out because the tennis court lights, I think we found out, went off at like 10:15.
Yeah. But I remember I went over there and I was like, oh, you can hit this button and they just come right
No,
back
that's
on.
right, yeah.
They didn't tell us that. I don't think they wanted us to do it, but shh.
Thank you, City of Smyrna.
Yeah, thank you. We were shooting this scene once, and that's just a grip outside, swiping lights across. And it got to that point, and I was supposed to cue them, and I was just standing there, like smiling, listening to their banter. Crap! Forgot to cue the light. You know,
Michael Bay moment.
Michael Bay. Again, though, I really like. It's just this foreshadow of, it's hyper real. Obviously, brake lights wouldn't be that red coming in, but who cares? It looks cool, and it's a movie. But them like seeing this red envelop them, foreshadowing this finale, so cool. We haven't really talked about Christmas either.
Oh yeah,
We kind of just we did that during the script phase, right?
we did. We when we talked about it, it was we wanted it to. I think we were like watching Die Hard.
Yeah, I mean, Die Hard's classic. You know, one location defending a building. Of course, this is a giant homage to Die Hard, essentially. So we had to do the Christmas thing, but we didn't want to overdo it, obviously. So I think there's only a few mentions of it really being Christmas. There's no music. Here's a
Yeah.
nice example of blending two different shots. His close up here and then her wide. The light that comes in behind him from the door that opens up.
I love how he takes care of the hat. We
Yeah.
did not tell him to do that. That was just him.
It was just like that vain thing that this character probably has. Like, he cares about his looks more than. Oh, I love that though. Right there, that's the first time we really see how vulnerable he is. Where he looks up like, oh crap, what am I gonna do? I love that gun he has too. I remember when
Just
we were,
overcompensating.
yeah, when we were looking for guns, they were handing me things, and I was just like, no, it's just got to be ridiculous, bright, of course, silver wood grips and big. I always wonder if people will be annoyed about, it's sort of a MacGuffin. We never really know what it is. I mean, he sort of says some stuff here and there, but I always love that idea of the MacGuffin. Like, the end of Mission Impossible 3, and, of course I can't think of any others right now. There's a million of them, but I love it's not about the thing. It's about going through the motions to get the thing. And how the characters learn and develop. Yeah, I love that. It's just so big. Everything just his explosiveness right there too. This was a learning day for me because this was all action. We did all this dialogue and then we had to go through the paces of the jumping and the shooting, and it was tough because there were questions everywhere constantly, and there was, all right, we got to do it again because this wasn't right, that wasn't right, we got to try this, we got to try that. That was tough. Learned a lot that day. But I love how this turned out. The huge flashes from the unsuppressed gun and no music, just huge sounds.
And one of the big reasons we did this one was we couldn't afford a huge fight scene. So it was like came with this idea of like, what if we just really slow it down? And
what should happen in 3 seconds happens in 40 seconds, 30 seconds, whatever. And she's unlucky again.
still love it. The wild shooting, just anywhere, everywhere.
I like that she misses him the first time because, she's blinded by the tear gas. And then the second time it's just one round left, so. I love this cutting off the big bad guy speech, shut up, just die already. I like that they help each other too. You know, it's not about the man saving the woman or anything. It's togetherness, and two halves make a whole, and they've got to help each other to survive, you know. They've learned from each other. I mean, Mark used so much of his strength to get over to that gun and fire it too. I mean, you know, he practically just killed himself. I'm not saying that he did die, but he practically did just, you know, wear himself out to save her because they love each other. We shot this 3 times, them getting into the car.
Because we kept on forgetting the jacket.
There would be like the jacket was messed up, or one time it was something about blood maybe. I can't remember. We had to do it 3 times. It was a mess. Again.
That was
Lessons
towards
learned.
the very end of that, though.
Yeah,
I think everybody
so.
was just tired and worn out, and it was one of the last things we did.
It's one of those things too where you're thinking about 10,000 different things, so hopefully someone's catching what's being missed, but it just slipped us twice somehow. Happens. And we're finally out of the house. Out into the world. If we had budget, we would have done a sweet car chase, but we don't have budget, so we couldn't do that. I love this. I really wanted to just sit on that drive for a minute because it's, you know, that moment of this is what that night was about for this thing, whatever it is, this stupid piece of plastic. Now what?
And another big thing is we didn't want to give the big happy ending. The music definitely foreshadows, like, this might not be done. We don't know what's going to happen.
That was a note to Tyler. It was like, keep it hopeless.
Yep.
There's no, where are they next? Do they go to the hospital? Do they go to the police? What happens next?
Yeah, fun note. Walker and I had to work on that Corvette to make it actually work.
Oh, yeah.
We had to go up.
We had to go change the battery and all kinds of stuff.
All kinds of stuff to make the thing work so we could use it for the movie.
And that's the movie.
Yeah.
Zach Wilkinson's awesome.
Put all this ending together.
Yeah, it was a process. It was a great process.
Yeah.
I can't wait to do another one. I hope we get to do another one.
Yeah, it was a huge learning experience for us. So one thing that I think we talk about a lot is, I think one thing that taught us was don't produce yourself while you're trying to create. Dream.
Yeah.
Find out what you love about it. And then, of course, you're going to might have to make sacrifices. But,
Yeah.
I mean, I think by us being able to dream a little bit, I mean, we were able to get what we wanted and be very happy with what we wanted.
Yeah, I think the outcome was pretty dang cool. Well, thanks for listening to our commentary.